Alright, so we're checking out the Turbo Racing C65, and this is another 1/76 scale micro RC car. This is obviously, as you can see here, it's got the drift wheel, so not really a drift car expert. In fact, I think this is like my real first drift car. It has a gyro in there, and we'll talk about what's in here, what's different about this compared to some of the ones that I reviewed before. Here's an example of another one. Obviously, these come with rubber tires, but obviously on kind of a similar sort of chassis and concept, but a lot of differences in terms of the way the suspension and the sort of the gearing and everything works in order to get this to drift. And in terms of, I guess, what's different about this generation versus the previous generations, I think there was a C62, a C63, and a C64 previously to this one. I'm not sure if that was the same generation or not, or if this is the second generation or third or fourth, because I never reviewed any of those other ones before. But I believe what they've upgraded here, and this one is a better gyro, with I guess a stronger gyro, so that it can stabilize the car when it's drifting. It's got more, I guess, trim on the steering wheel, so that it can have more, I guess, steering throw. And there's a counterweight that's in the front here that helps it stay in the drift, I guess, when you're on a track. I've never tried the previous generation, so I don't really know exactly how much better or worse this one is compared to the previous ones. I did see a couple of videos from when the earlier generations came out, and I guess some of the people, well, not the sponsored videos, but like afterwards, I saw some videos from people that actually bought the first generation, and they said that it was very hard to control. Like, whether or not you can get into a drift would be kind of random. So yeah, basically they tried to improve on that capability in this generation. But quickly, just to show you what comes in the box, get the car, of course. You get a transmitter, and this is a little bit different. I'll show you what's different. You get the manual for this car. You get some marketing materials for some of their other models, and then you have this sort of square reference sample. It's like basically allows you to drift on. This is basically like a sort of a semi-slick surface, but has a little bit of a texture to it. It's hard to explain. It's not super smooth, but it has a little bit of texture for some grip. You need a little bit of grip. And I believe that they sent this because they have a track that's available for, I think, $15. But if you buy it from like one of the Chinese stores, the shipping is really expensive. I think there's some stores in the US that might carry it. I believe that's the same material as this. I've seen some other videos where they had that, and it does seem to drift better on this material versus what I was testing. And I was just testing on my wooden table here. It's not quite as textured. It's actually a little bit more slick, so it's hard for me to evaluate how good this is, because obviously I only have this one little reference sample to try to drift on versus this table, which is probably not the right texture. So you can just, you've probably seen some footage earlier, and it's hard to really judge. I can't really tell because I'm not a drift expert. I never really had a drift car before. So whether or not this is like the ultimate micro drift car or not, honestly, I couldn't tell you. But just to show you what else came in the box, you do get, let's see, we got a little screwdriver tool there. You get a couple of these extra chassis that I guess you can paint or change the color, whatever you want. And then for each chassis, there are things like lights and other accessory parts that go with that. Obviously, these black parts here, etc., and the lights, and these do have all the same like lights and the brake lights and headlights and everything, the LEDs in the bottom, just like the other cars. So I'll link some of the older videos on these other cars if you want to see those, and basically explain how the lights work with the transmitter. It's all exactly the same, but you get two of these canopies or these chassis, and then you get, I think it's just a USB-C cable, then the transmitter goes in the bottom there. Now, this is the ready-to-run version, so that comes with the car and the transmitter. I'm not sure if Makerfire, that's the store that sent this to me, I'm not sure if they sell it just by the car by itself, but I think you're going to need the transmitter because it's a little bit different from the previous generation. So this is the transmitter for this car here, and while they look virtually identical, in fact the battery's the same in terms of like the way the battery works. In fact, I just took the handle off of this one and put it on this one because I didn't want to move the battery. So I just basically moved the handle over because the handle just provides power, and they work in the same way where they just pop off like that. It's pretty nice, pretty convenient. So they're essentially the same, and if you look at them side by side, you think, oh, they are the same. But the thing that's different is this dial right here. On the other models that are not drift cars, it's for throttle trim, and on this one here, it's called SVC, and that's to adjust the strength of the gyro. And I believe if it's all the way, yeah, so right there where the arrow is pointing to 10, that's the maximum, and then sets counterclockwise. And if you turn it clockwise, you know, all the way to the other end, and where this points to 0, that's basically the strength of the gyro is 0. I found that at least on the surface I was using this on this wooden table, I had to turn the gyro up all the way to the max. If I was on the 0 or lower or anything lower, it felt a bit harder to control. So it's kind of hard to really demonstrate the difference in footage, but just trust me, it just felt, in terms of driving it around, I was able to have a little bit more control in terms of how I was drifting and when I wanted to go into a drift if the gyro was at its maximum strength. Alright, so we'll go and turn this on real quick here. Got our light. Going to turn this one on. Again, just charges by USB-C, same as before. I'll power this on. Got our lights. And it connects right away. And you can hear here what's different. See that gyro going? And you can see that it's a counteracting gyro. So if there's a movement to the, I guess, counterclockwise, the wheels turn clockwise. So if I turn the car this way, the wheels will basically counteract that force. So I'm not really 100% sure how this works in terms of why you would want that for drifting. All I know is that that's what that's for. And you know, when you turn the gyro all the way down, if I just turn it all the way down to 0, as you can see, I move the car like so, and nothing happens. You get no counteracting effect from steering. And so to go ahead, I'll leave it off for now, just show you what the maximum steering is like. So you can see how much it turns here, and then the other way. And that's improved from the previous generation. I guess more turning ability is better for drifting, and that's another thing that's been improved in this generation. So that's pretty much it in terms of, like, you know, my evaluation of this, whether or not this is the ultimate RC micro drift car or not. I couldn't really tell you. I couldn't even tell you if it's better than the previous generation. All I know is that they made these improvements, and I'm assuming that it's going to be better for what you want to do with it. I really wish that they would have sent me the track that this would go on with. Obviously, the material is going to matter in terms of drifting. But unfortunately they didn't, so I'm just doing it based on, you know, what I was able to do on this wooden table. But I think the surface for the drifting is going to be pretty important in the end. So I think that for someone else that is more of a drift expert and has the right track, they're probably going to have a better idea whether or not this is a lot better or just slightly better than the previous generation. But you know, obviously they've made these changes to hopefully make it better, make a better product compared to what was released previously. Now, in terms of the fun factor, I can't tell you as much that it is pretty much as fun as I think it could be. You know, having just a small table here to sort of play with this on. I think that maybe a little bit larger table would be probably more fun. I just don't have a lot of space, you know, in my house, and so I think that having the ability to have a little bit larger space, larger table, larger track, I think would increase the fun factor because it is pretty fast. And I often found that I would just run off the table sometimes because I would just be going too fast. But overall, definitely looking forward to playing around with this one, and maybe getting that track. I'm going to see if I can try and acquire one because it's not that expensive. It's like $15 plus shipping. So I might pick one of those up and then maybe have a follow-up video. If that interests you, let me know down in the comments below. And that'll do it for this video. I'll link this down in the video description if you guys want to check it out. And I'll talk to you guys in the next video.